Hi everyone, this is Rachel here, and welcome to the very first ever Walk the Talk podcast. We are the very first ever episode of the Walk the Talk podcast. This has been a long time coming, guys. Trust me, I have dabbled in and out of recording a podcast for many, many years. So if you are listening to this right now, it means that you are listening to an accumulation of many, many years of threatening to start a podcast. So here I am. The intentions for this first podcast really just to introduce myself, to tell you a bit about Walk the Talk. If you are new to the Walk the Talk phenomenon, then my intention is really just to give you an introduction to what you can expect really from the podcast, what my intentions are, and a little bit about me as a person, if you don't know me. So yeah, that's my intention over the next 20 minutes or so, just to talk a little bit about myself, where I've come from, why I started the business, and where we are now with Walk the Talk. So at the end of 2012, which seems like forever ago, I decided that I wanted to quit my job as a gym instructor for the local authority and start my own personal training business. So it took me a wee while to sort of muster up the courage to do that, and lo and behold, a few months later, after many, many hours of planning my own business whilst still working full-time, I decided to take the leap of faith and pack my job in and start my own business. Now, it does sound like it was quite simple, but actually it was quite complicated because there was a lot of things going on in the background. And making that decision was probably one of the toughest things that I've ever had to do, to leave employment, leave the sort of safety of having a monthly income and go out on my own in an industry where it's very competitive, and there are a lot of other people out there doing the exact same thing. So that's what I did. The main reason I did that really was for health reasons. I had suffered for a long, long time from various different health conditions which were affecting my work, affecting my full-time job, to the point where I was getting sent back and forth to occupational therapy. I was I felt like I was becoming a bit of a burden on the workplace, to be honest, because I always felt like I had to be off sick, and the stress of that was making things feel a bit worse. So I decided, well, there's only one thing that I can do that will make this easier, and that is to become my own boss, so that if I do need to take time off, and that's kind of how it started, then I can. And I thought, well, there's no reason why I can't do what I'm doing here, and actually, do it for myself. So that's kind of where the thought started, and then it escalated from one thing to another. And over the course of the last 5 years or so, Walk the Talk Fitness, as we began, has developed and changed in many different ways, to sort of fit around the lifestyle that I lead and the lifestyle that I want to lead. So I've sort of manipulated the business around my needs and what makes me happy, as well as focusing on making sure that what I'm doing, the work that I'm doing, actually makes a difference to people's lives. So that is how Walk the Talk has sort of changed and evolved over the years. For those of you that have been following me a while, you'll know that I've moved here, there and everywhere, and the business has always come with me. It's just taken on slightly different facets, but the sort of baseline message has stayed the same. So Walk the Talk Fitness started off as a personal training company back at the sort of end of 2011, start of 2012. And I worked sort of based in a gym, one-to-one personal training, helping people to lose weight, tone up, get fit, that kind of thing. Really enjoyed it. Absolutely loved it. Gained so much experience doing that, on a working with one-to-one clients. And then also I taught a plethora of fitness classes. So for those of you that are listening to this that are in my local area, or where I'm from, in Lanarkshire, near Glasgow, you'll know that I was a pretty big personality when it came to fitness classes. I was very well known in the area. And I used to teach between 15 and 20 hours of fitness classes a week, everything from Body Pump to MetaFit to Body Attack, all of these things. And you know, I had such a phenomenal career when it came to group fitness, and you know, I absolutely loved it. It was the backbone of a lot of the things that I did was group fitness, and I really appreciate and look back over those years and, you know, the experiences that they gave me and how they helped me to build the brand of Walk the Talk as it's now known. So that was a big facet of Walk the Talk fitness back in the day, group fitness, one-to-one. And then, you know, as the times evolved and as I evolved, I became more and more interested in the effects of nutrition. Now, going back to the health problems that I had and still currently suffer with, one of which being IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. I had pretty chronic issues with that. And that was one of the main reasons why I decided to start my own business, so that I could control that better and control the stress levels, because those of you that know, IBS is very much plagued by, you know, it's made worse by stress. So I decided to start my own business to reduce the stress of having a boss. But it brought with it many other stressors, as those of you out there who run their own business will know. So it has changed and evolved over the years, and more recently I became interested in nutrition as a way of sort of helping myself first and foremost. Again, if I'm not functioning properly and if I am not at my best, then how can I expect to help other people? So I had to start addressing my own health, and that's when I discovered the importance of nutrition. And I had to sort of relearn everything from scratch again, because everything out there about nutrition is so confusing. There are so many different opinions out there as to what is right and what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, and what we should be doing for trying to get healthy and lose weight and all that kind of thing. And, you know, you will know this if you're listening to this podcast. You will know how difficult it is to sort of see through the bullshit and see through, you know, all the marketing and rubbish out there. What is the right advice? What is the wrong advice? What advice should you be following? You know, it's so confusing. So that's why I started to make it my mission to cut through the bullshit and be able to be in a place to, number one, help myself first and foremost. Like I said, if I'm not in good condition, how can I expect to help other people? But also to pass on the correct information to everybody else that follows me. You know, whether that be you came or come to my fitness classes, whether you're a one-to-one client or whether you work with me as an online client. I wanted to make sure that the information that I was giving you was the right information, so that you could stop, you know, going through that yo-yo process of jumping from one diet to another, and actually just have one place where you can go to find out the truth. And that is kind of where I started with my nutrition journey, and that was 3 years ago now. I started to look into nutrition qualifications because it fascinated me. And although I did a lot of my own reading and a lot of my own experiments, both with clients and with myself, it was important to me, you know, to go through that certification process so that I could have a qualification there to back up what I was saying. That's not to say that qualification was the only thing, you know, there's the only thing that is how I've built Walk the Talk nowadays. That's not true. A lot of it is my own research, and a lot of it is, you know, based on colleagues and friends and, you know, things that I've learned along the way. So I undertook a number of different routes into the education on nutrition, and, you know, I don't think that nutrition education is ever finished, because, you know, there's new research coming out on a daily basis to tell you that the research that came out yesterday was wrong. So that is sort of where the nutrition stuff started, and it was more so to help myself get healthy. And when I realised the power of food and the power of understanding what is right and what is wrong and what is real and what is fake, and cutting through all that confusing information and just applying it to myself and to clients and to other people, it made me realise just how life-changing making small but significant and simple changes to your food intake and your lifestyle can make on your overall health. And that is where Walk the Talk lies now. Now, Let me just reverse a little bit again to the beginning of Walk the Talk. The name of the business came about in a really strange way. But basically, it does what it says on the tin. My main aim and the aim of the business is to be able to show you the way, to lead by example, to put myself in your shoes and understand where you are at the moment and be able to give you a solution to help that. But not only to give you a solution, but to actually be a walking, talking version of that solution, and to be able to be the person that you can look up to and say, do you know what? She's not just talking a good game, she's actually doing it and putting it into practice. And that is exactly what Walk the Talk is all about. It's being able to take information, go away, use it and be successful, and also to live your life in a way that is purposeful and meaningful to you. And that is what Walk the Talk is all about. And it sort of evolved. I was sitting in my living room trying to come up with names for this business, and I was listening to an album at the time. I was listening to Rihanna's album, Talk That Talk, it's called. And I had the album in my hand, back in the day where we still bought CDs. I had that album in my hand, and I was looking at it and I thought, Talk That Talk, absolutely love Rihanna. For those of you out there have known me for a long time, you'll know that it's a borderline obsession. Not so much anymore, but it was back then. And I thought, talk that talk, walk that talk, walk the talk, and that is how it came about. So, in the beginning there was nothing fancy about it at all. It really just was a case of I was holding that album in my hand, and one of the words changed to another word, and before I knew it, I thought, you know what, that's absolutely brilliant. I'm going to go with that, and here we are. In 2017, that was back at the end of 2011, and here I am, still using that name and still absolutely love it. And so that's sort of the evolution of Walk the Talk, and that is a very, very short version. There have been lots and lots of ups and downs in between, and I might actually record certain episodes about different things that have happened over the years, but that's a kind of broad spectrum just for to give you an idea of the first episode. So my mission really is to help you to live the best life possible that you can through good nutrition, fitness, health, activity, and just understanding what it is that you want in life, and understanding that you can have and you can do whatever it is that you want to do, and you can achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. So this podcast is going to be a collection of interviews with people that I admire, both in the fitness and nutrition industry and other industries as well, that I think will help you to live the best life that you possibly can. So I'm going to couple the interview sort of podcasts along with some solo shows just by myself, maybe some Q&As. So if you have any questions, of course you can send them to me, and I will answer them as best I can on the podcast. Walk the Talk now is in a place where most of the work that I do is online, so I found that I can help more people if I work online. It's there's only one of me, and working with people on a one-to-one basis was proving to be quite limiting, because my aim and my goal for this year particularly was to help as many people as possible. And I found that taking the business online helps me to do that, because I can reach a much wider audience. And hopefully, if you're listening to this podcast, you are going to become part of my audience and part of the Walk the Talk movement, and start to learn from me and from the guests that I'll have on the show. So Walk the Talk is mostly online now. I run 2 courses. One of them is called Transform 21. It's a 3-week course that you can take. We are relaunching in October this year, October 2017, with a brand new course. And then also we have a follow-on course to that as well. It's a 12-week program, complete lifestyle overhaul, and by the end of it you will feel like a new person. Yes, it's about weight loss. Yes, you will transform the way that you look and feel, but your whole life will change as well as a result of that. So that is Walk the Talk, and hopefully that gives you a bit of an insight as to what you can expect on the podcast. So my aim is to give you a new episode once a fortnight, I am going to cover all aspects of health. We are going to be talking to various different leading health professionals in the UK and abroad. I will also get some of my friends on the show. We'll have a bit of a banter, and I hope you will learn along the way. Now, if this is your first time encountering Walk the Talk, I hope you've enjoyed sort of hearing the backstory and how it began, the rough version. If you have been following me for a while, I hope you have learned something new today as well, both about me and about Walk the Talk. And I would ask, if you are listening to this and you have sort of enjoyed the introduction, you're looking forward to what's coming next, I would love it if you could please share the podcast with anyone that you feel may benefit from listening to my ramblings. That would be absolutely awesome. I would love that. And also, if you like what you hear, please leave a review on iTunes. The more reviews we get on iTunes, the better the rating of the podcast and the more people that can listen as well. So finally, last thing I have to say is thank you very much for listening to my first ever episode on the Walk the Talkcast. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I really look forward to welcoming my guest Ben Coomber on episode number 2. So keep your eyes out for that, and I will speak to you soon.